Hi there, my name is Marley and welcome to my horror reading blog. Yeah, it's October, obviously the month of Halloween, so I wanted to film a horror reading blog. I have not read too many horror books in my time. I mostly read thrillers, but yeah, I definitely want to read more from the horror genre. I feel like I watch a lot of horror booktubers, so I had a lot of books to choose from for this video. And to start, I just want to introduce you to the books that I decided to read. First of all, we have The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. He's a pretty popular horror author, I believe. It follows 4 American Indian men after the disturbing event from their youth puts them in a desperate struggle for their lives. So it sounds pretty cool. The next one I want to read is by Grady Hendrix, and that is My Best Friend's Exorcism. I'm really excited for this one. There's even a movie that recently came out, so I'm going to try and watch it and talk about it in this vlog when I watch it. This is actually a YA horror, so it should be more lighthearted. It definitely sounds like it's going to be similar to Stranger Things because it takes place in the 80s, and the title is pretty self-explanatory. It's about 2 best friends, and one of them suspects the other one is possessed and needs to have an exorcism. The third one is going to be A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. On Goodreads it says this is book number 1, so I guess this is going to be a series, but this is a vampire novel that I've heard really good things about recently, and I'm very into vampires. I read Dracula last year, and this one is apparently about Dracula's first wife or something like that. So really excited for all of these. I've been doing a lot of fall and Halloween things so far this month. Hopefully I will keep doing them so I can show you guys in this vlog. For example, I think I'm gonna make an apple pie tonight, or try to. So yeah, I hope you guys will keep watching this vlog to see what I think about all of these horror books. Let's get into it. All right, I'm starting to make the apple pie. First of all, I had to buy these pie tins, but of course my grocery store sucks and they did not have regular pie tins. They just had ones that had the graham cracker already in it for if you wanted to like make a pie. It has the crust already. So I had to just buy these. And I guess I'll just take the graham cracker out and ask my boyfriend if he'll just eat it like this. So then we'll just have the pie tins. I've never made a pie before, so I'm a little bit nervous. So we'll see how much I end up filming. It might not be a lot if I'm just kind of like stressed about the steps. But yeah, I'll try and show you my pie making. So this pie crust did not work out. This looks absolutely horrible and is going to fall apart. Be more of an apple crumble than what I imagined, but we're just gonna go for it honestly because I don't care to like try and do this again. The apple mixture looks better. Okay, this part was definitely more fun and easier. Maybe I should have just bought the like a store-bought crust, but we tried. Now I'll put it in and cook it, I guess. Oh my gosh, I literally said all apples, no crust. Like there's no crust in this. And just so you know, the recipe calls for no top crust. That's on purpose, but like, oh, this is a mess. Okay, it's the next day. I cut a very small piece of my apple pie. So let's give it a try. Get some apple in there and some crust. I think it's actually okay. Oh my god, it's actually okay. Yay. So I know I've done 0 reading updates so far in this vlog, but I wanted to show you guys something because I feel kind of proud of it. And this thumbnail I'm going to show you was for a video that's going to be up already, so you'll have seen it already. But I'm making a YA thriller recommendation video or like discussion video, and I'm doing the thumbnail, and I feel like it's turning out so good, like so fun. So I'm gonna show you. So I'm taking inspiration from this cover because I'm calling it A Good Girl's Guide to YA Thrillers. So here it is. I feel like it looks very cute. Like, I like my outfit. I like how I made the little ripped papers on the same font. And then like the strings in the back, like, oh, I feel like that's really cute. So yeah, I don't know if this is the final thing, but yeah, I think it's looking pretty good. Hopefully you guys liked it. Got my ghosty earrings. Hello, I finally have a reading update for you. I've been feeling a little bit slumpy though, unfortunately, and I don't think it has anything to do with the book. I have been reading My Best Friend's Exorcism. I think I'm just tired of reading. Like, I've just been reading so much, as you do as a booktuber, that I don't know, I'm getting a little bit worn down. I think just generally I've been kind of tired, but yeah, I did reach the halfway point in My Best Friend's Exorcism, and it's good. It's actually multimedia, which is cool, but what it's about are these 2 friends, Abby and what's the other girl's name? Jillian, I want to say. We see how they became friends when they were younger, and they've been best friends for years. Now they're in 10th grade. They have some other friends too, and they all go to this one rich girl's like family cottage or something like that. And when they're there, they decide to try dropping acid for the first time. None of the girls really feel it except for Jillian. I think that's her name. I don't know if I'm messing that up. Except for Jillian, and she like definitely feels it. She runs into the woods naked and is missing the whole night. And when they finally find her again in the morning, she seems a little bit off. And then since then, she is acting weird. So we're following Abby's point of view, and she seems to kind of be the only one who really is caring about Jillian and noticing that something's wrong and wanting to fix it. Everyone else is not really taking it seriously. Jillian comes from a very religious, protective, and I would say maybe abusive family, so they're kind of hard to get through to. But Abby knows that something's wrong with Jillian. She doesn't think it's like a demon yet. She doesn't think she needs to have like an exorcism yet, but there's some weird things going on with her, haunting things, gross things. Grady Hendrix is really good at writing really like gross scenes, and he's also really good at like pissing you off as the reader, because I read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and that was so frustrating to read in terms of no one would believe the women about there being a vampire. And then this one is really frustrating because no one's believing Abby that there's something wrong with her friend, and I assume once they figure out it's a demon, like no one's gonna believe her about that. And then it's just so frustrating as a reader because no one's believing this main character, and it like that whole thing just gives me anxiety right there. But yeah, it's pretty good, but I do feel like I'm a little bit behind in my like reading schedule because I'm just feeling kind of slumpy, like I don't really feel like reading. But again, nothing against the book. The writing's really good and really quick. There's short chapters, which I always like, so the book's going well. This week I'm actually going to a seance. I can't remember if I mentioned that in this vlog already. If I did, I'll cut this out, but I'm going to a seance on Wednesday, which should be interesting, and I'll try to vlog it if we're allowed. I don't know if we really would be, or if I would even feel comfortable to film. If not, I'll let you know how it goes. I might get pretty scared considering I'm reading a book about like possession right now. Like hopefully I don't get possessed. I'll let you know how it goes, but hopefully it's cool because like it was kind of expensive. So the friend's name is Gretchen, not Jillian. I was close. Also, oh my god, ignore this red dot on the tip of my nose. Hey there, I just finished my best friend's exorcism. I actually stayed home sick today from work. I was throwing up. Maybe I'm possessed by a demon? No, I'm feeling better now. I just finished the book quickly. It was pretty good. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I do think I was like a little bit disappointed just because my expectations were like really high for Grady Hendrix after reading his book, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, which I really loved. This one is definitely not as good. As I might have already said in a previous update, it's kind of slow, but by the end, like I was tearing up. I think the best part of the book was the friendship between the 2 girls, which I think I've seen other people say as well. So that's really what brought up the rating for me. There were some gross moments, so definitely if you're into like gross horror, then you should probably read his books, especially this one. But I just don't think it was as effective as the book club book. But yeah, it was a good time. I look forward to watching the movie. Then tonight is the seance, which I mentioned. So that will probably be the next clip. And then I'm gonna start The Only Good Indians next, I think. Sorry if I don't have a lot to say about my best friend's exorcism. I feel like it just was like a decent book, but wasn't like anything crazy for me to talk about. I don't know. There were kind of crazy things that happened in it, but I just feel like I wasn't really like affected by it a lot, which maybe is because it's a YA and it was toned down. I don't know. Still decent though, still good. time for an update. It is now Friday night, Friday evening. So excited for the weekend. But yeah, I went to the seance a couple days ago. I was not allowed to film, as you can imagine, but it was a really cool experience. I tried to be open-minded, even though I don't really believe in that kind of stuff, but it was a fun experience and it was worth it. I do just think that, you know, reflecting on it, I do think it was fake, but it's kind of fun to just do spooky stuff like that and pretend that it's real in the moment, you know? But yeah, I've been reading The Only Good Indians and I'm about halfway through. It's going relatively quickly. It's not that long of a book, just 300 pages, but I've had some kind of mixed feelings. It's kind of all over the place. At first, I was struggling with the writing, and I still kind of stand by that. I don't think the writing is totally for me. Sometimes I was finding it kind of hard to follow what was going on, and just I like when it's an easy read, right? You've probably heard me say that before. I love when it's just really easy, quick to get through. I was reading this on the subway where it was a little bit of a distracting environment, but I read a lot of books on the subway and normally it's fine and I can concentrate well. So there's something a little off with this writing. It might be on purpose because this is a horror, so I think that's common to have kind of weird writing. But yeah, as you guys know from the description, it is about these 4 Native American men who had slaughtered a bunch of elks. Now it's like years later and they are getting haunted by this elk, it seems, this spirit. Specifically in the first half, we were following this one man, Lewis, who has moved away from the reservation, kind of left that life behind. He has a wife who is white, but he is like really haunted by what he has done. And some creepy stuff starts going on, some confusing stuff, to be honest. And then it gets very upsetting. Like, just reading about these poor like animals and what's done to them, and then some other things that happen to some other people, it's very upsetting. Definitely not for people who are really sensitive to that, like are vegetarians by choice and vegans by choice. It'll probably be pretty upsetting for you. But it did start to get pretty interesting. It did start to get good, and then this weird sort of twist happened, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. I've only read a couple chapters since this sort of twist happened, and we had a bit of a perspective change, which I think is going to be for the rest of the book. So I don't really know what to anticipate for the rest of the book. As you know, this is my boyfriend's book, and he said he doesn't like the rest of it. Like, the first half was better and he doesn't really like the direction it goes. So I'm a little nervous because I also initially am just feeling like I'm not gonna like this second half as much as the first one, and even the first part I wasn't loving it. So I'm feeling a little iffy. I'm feeling like maybe it might be a 3-star. Like, I'm gonna just feel kind of like neutral about it, kind of mixed. But it's Friday night, as I said. I'm home alone tonight. I'm really excited to just chill and read a bunch. Maybe I'll finish the whole thing tonight, I don't know. I at least want to get maybe another like 50 to 100 pages done, and I'm just really excited to chill. What can I say? So I'll talk to you guys later. I'll probably update later tonight. We'll see. Okay, so I feel like I should mention, for those who have not read these books but are thinking about it, I'm just gonna say dogs die in both of them. A dog died in my best friend's Exorcism, and multiple dogs have died in The Only Good Indians. So just so you guys are aware, I know a lot of you are sensitive towards that and don't like to read things where dogs die. So very sad, but yeah. It's happened in both of these books so far. All right, I have about 50 pages left of the book, but I think I'm gonna go to bed. It's almost 1 a.m. I did a little bit of YouTube stuff tonight, filmed a video, edited it, uploading it now, or scheduling it, I should say. But I did get creeped out reading the book tonight, but I think I just always get creeped out when I'm home alone and I read. So hopefully I will finish it tomorrow before my plans in the evening. But it's pretty okay. I feel like I've said that about both books. I stand by that. I'll probably give this 3 or 3.5. Alright, it's the next day. I finished the book. I think I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars as I predicted. The last part was interesting. I feel like each part was very different. They almost feel like different books, each of the kind of perspectives and parts of it. There's a very intense basketball game for those who are into basketball. That was kind of funny to me. But I do think it was a really cool, unique story. I definitely appreciate a lot of what it did, a lot of what it said. I just wouldn't really say it was like a favorite or anything. As you guys saw, I kind of had mixed feelings throughout, and I kind of had mixed feelings about the last part of the book as well. But I do feel like overall it had like good messages, like horror books normally do, a lot of like social commentary on a lot of issues. So if you like reading books about those types of things, you would probably like the horror genre. I just do think I prefer like a more fast-paced thriller type of book than horror, is what I think I'm continuing to realize as I read more horror books. But I'm still happy that I'm doing this. I'm happy that I read this. Would recommend this overall. So last we have the book I'm most excited for, A Dowry of Blood. I'm definitely more of a vampire girl, so definitely excited to read a vampire story. I think it's like a queer story as well, but I'll tell you more about it when I read it. Probably won't do like an official update till tomorrow because I'm going to my friends tonight. So see you in my next clip. So I made it home, yay. As you saw, I was watching movies with my friend. We did watch my best friend's Exorcism and a few other ones. But as for my best friend's Exorcism, not the best, not terrible, but like not the best, which is kind of what I was expecting. They did stay pretty true to the book for the most part with the whole plot and everything. There were definitely things that they left out that they clearly couldn't fit in, other things that they changed. But I think they just really missed the mark with the friendship. Because as I said in my book review, like the friendship was the best part of this book. And I just don't think they really fulfilled that in the movie. It could have made it way more strong if at least it had that solid friendship element. And like at the end with the exorcism, like that's the best part with the friendship, where like, not to spoil, but you can kind of figure that like it's really their friendship that ends up saving the one friend from the demon. And that's the part that made me tear up and everything. But in the movie, it was just so lackluster, so non-climactic, anticlimactic, I guess. And yeah, just a little bit disappointing. It still had some fun moments, but yeah. Reading update. So I've been reading A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, and this is gonna be a really, really quick and enjoyable read. I can tell I'm already over halfway through it. I did a lot of reading on the commute to my friends and back, and basically it's about Constanta, is that how you say her name? And she was dying. She had been brutally attacked, and then Dracula saves her. Dracula is not named, but it's narrated where Constanta is speaking to Dracula. So she's saying, you, never names him, but we know that it's Dracula. And he turns her into a vampire, and she is his wife, his lover. He kind of teaches her how to be a vampire, whatever. But I think the social commentary in this horror novel has to do with abusive relationships, because he has all the power in this relationship as the one that created her, and he sets out all these rules for her and is constantly kind of gaslighting her and telling her she's not as strong as him because she's not as old as him and all this stuff, which I think is not true. But yeah, he has all these certain like rules for her and keeps her very like restrained, and so I think, you know, it's abusive. And then as time goes on, you know, they live for like centuries, so they end up both falling in love with this other woman named Magdalena, and he takes her as like his other wife. I was right, there is a queer sort of element where Constanta and Magdalena also have their own sort of relationship on the side. It's like a poly relationship with the three of them, and so they all have their own like relationships in that. And I think it's gonna lead to all of the wives and these women that he's sort of trapping in relationships with him. I think they're gonna rise up against him, is what I'm thinking is gonna happen. So very cool, very interesting. I don't know if I've talked much about the social commentary that each of these books has had. I think the main message in my best friend's Exorcism was about people not believing young girls, especially when it comes to sexual assault. That was sort of the message I got from that one. It wasn't super heavy-handed, but that's how I interpreted it, with people not believing that this girl had been possessed by a demon. In The Only Good Indians, I think there were a lot of different messages you could take from that, but what stood out most to me was like stopping the cycle of violence. And if you read it, I think you know what I mean by that. And then as I said with this one, I think it's about abusive relationships and again like stopping that abuse. So always interesting to see what these books are trying to say. But yeah, I think Dowry of Blood is definitely my favorite book so far. While the other two were slow, this one is definitely not feeling slow. It's written really beautifully, a lot of good lines, and I'm just gonna try and finish it off tonight. I was holding off reading anymore because I wanted to film this update for halfway through, but I'm really looking forward to just finishing it tonight. I'm home alone again, so I'll have a lot of time to read. Wow, yes, this was the book for me. I absolutely loved this, A Dowry of Blood. I see why it's been getting such great reviews. I'm here to join in on that. It was 5 stars, obviously, really good. The writing was just so stunning. It's stunning.
Oh, stunning.
Yeah. It was just so enjoyable to read and so fascinating. Such an interesting take on Dracula. He's never even named in the book, but it's still just like so powerful. A 4th person ends up joining this relationship. His name is Alexei. We really get to explore like all of these different characters and their relationships with each other, and then them ultimately going against Dracula and kind of raising up, and it's just beautiful. It's basically about like an abusive relationship and like rising up against it, and they did that through Dracula and through this like gothic horror setting. It's like a horror romance kind of thing, and it was just great. So I'm really happy that I read this. I'm really happy I read all of these books. We had a 5-star, 4-star, and 3.5 star, which I think is really great. So I think horror, you know, is probably not my favorite genre ever. I think I enjoy things like thrillers and fantasy more, but I think if we have like a mixture of those genres, like A Dowry of Blood, that's horror, romance, fantasy, LGBT, like that's a perfect book for me. Like I can really enjoy that type of thing. So I do highly recommend A Dowry of Blood. I think that will be one of my favorite books of the year. And I think that's gonna end off this horror vlog. Hope you guys liked it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you've read any of these books or if I've convinced you to read any of them. And make sure to subscribe if you have not already. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video, hopefully. Bye.